Welcome to video 8 for the Mandola build on the Great Guitar Build-Off 2022. In this video we are going to bind the instrument, which was a real nightmare. The bloodwood just will not bind to the tight tolerances, so it was not my best binding job, but it's adequate. And we will also begin to apply finish and install the neck. So we're getting there. We're almost to the end. In the next video, we'll actually be making a mandolin bridge from scratch, and then we'll begin to assemble. Took a little bit, but they're mitered and ready to be glued on. So what I'll do is I'll spread a little bit of glue on the back and the miter, and I use binding tape to hold it in place. Okay, that's one in place, 3 more to go, and we'll be ready to bind the rest of the body. Alright, I've been working diligently at getting the binding applied. What I'm doing is I am trying to miter in the maple with the bloodwood, and that means I need to cut away a little bit of the maple where it overlaps the bloodwood, and then we'll glue it in place and we'll tidy everything up. So here we go. So what we do is we just apply this binding tape, which does not stretch. Alright, that should hold. We'll let it dry overnight. And I did have some issues with these tight curves with the bloodwood, so I'm going to have to splice in the remainder. But that won't be a big deal. Had some trouble with the bloodwood binding. It doesn't seem to bend quite so well as other bindings I've used. I've used it on guitars which are much flatter curve, but it cracks like the piece you just saw. So I've got the bending iron set up, and we will bend some more binding. Alright, so what I'm doing is I've had the bloodwood binding soaking in a tub of water for a while the iron heated up, which takes a long time. And then I'm taking it and I'm just touching it and bending it, very small amount. This bloodwood is so dense it doesn't absorb the water very well. So it's going to take me quite a while to get the 3 pieces I have bent to where I want them. The binding is finally done. It didn't come out so great, but I will not use bloodwood on a smaller instrument like this again. It just can't handle the tight bends that I needed up at the front, but it'll be okay. So now my next step is to sand the body completely, make sure the neck is sanded to its best. I am probably going to dye the top, and I will do that, and then I will install the neck. So I want to put dye on the top, so I've been playing around with some dye colors, and this is amber with a little bit of medium brown, and I kind of like that. I think it's going to make the figure in the Port Orford cedar pop and darken up the top a little bit so it's not so glaring. So we're good. I did fill some spaces with epoxy. When that's dry, I'll do my final sanding, and then we'll stain the top and then glue in the neck. So while I'm waiting for everything to dry up, I am going to mix up my shellac for my final finish. I'm doing a French polish. Was going to do nitrocellulose lacquer, but I really ran out of time. So what I'm going to do for the French polish is a 1 pound cut of shellac. I've tried French polishing with a 2 pound cut, and it just kind of dries up on me. I want a thinner shellac than I've used in the past to hopefully get a better application. I am going to spray on 2 coats of shellac before I start the French polish. That'll give me a good base, and hopefully it'll seal in the dye on the top. So I've got amber shellac flakes, and a 1 pound cut. I'm going to make about 8 ounces of shellac. 1 pound of shellac for 1 gallon of alcohol. So we are going to make quite a bit less of that. So we're putting 1 ounce, which we now have 1 ounce of flakes. I'm going to put those into the jar. And I'm going to measure out 1 cup of denatured alcohol. We can always mix up more if we run out. Shake this up a bit, and I'll come back and I'll shake this jar throughout the day into the evening. It's going to have to sit overnight for all the flakes to dissolve. You got to give it a shake every so often to make sure everything gets distributed. Alright, so I've done a final sanding on the top. And what I'm doing now is I'm just wiping it down using some denatured alcohol to pull any dust out of the Alright, so now I'm just taking my dye that I mixed up and I'm going to apply it to the top. I'm using the dye in alcohol so that it doesn't raise the grain. That way I don't have to sand it and reapply and do all that. There we go. I'll let that dry, and then it'll be time to install the neck, probably after a quick spray coat of shellac. Alright, we're outside and we're ready to spray on a couple of coats of shellac to give us a base to do the French polish on, just on the top for now. So sorry about the noise, but a lot going on around here today. Alright, I'm going to use my hide glue again. I definitely want this joint to be reversible if I ever have to reset the neck. So I'm going to apply some glue to the inside of the dovetail. Then apply some to the neck itself in the dovetail. we'll set the neck. Straight edge down. Make sure we're coming out at the center. We are. Now I'm gonna clamp it in place. Just let this dry, let the glue dry, and we'll be ready to do the final finish. We're going to make the bridge, we're going to make the nut, and this project will be done. Alright, so we've come back outside to the garage, and we have hung up the instrument and sprayed on a base coat of shellac. Let this dry, and then we will begin our French polishing process. Alright, so French polishing did not go as well as I had hoped. I think it's my technique. I always have problems when I try to French polish things. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board. So what I did is I'm just brushing on some light coats of shellac, sanding them with a high grit sandpaper in between, and then I actually wipe it down with a little denatured alcohol, which helps to level the finish. Sides came out really nice. The back is coming out really nice. The top, however, it seems like the shellac just doesn't want to apply in spots. So we'll keep working on that. I'm putting basically this is my second coat of brushed on shellac on the back side. And I think that this will probably be the last one with the 2 coats of spray on. Getting the neck and the beautiful thing about shellac is it only takes about an hour or so and you can recoat it. So we'll be back to do the top again, and hopefully that'll be it.